Well, afternoon. Actually, quite an interesting afternoon. It's Saturday here in Sydney. We are 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm just going to um, get my comments up live so I can see them, just in case people who are logging on can come on and we can have a chat and you can send some messages. But it's been a crazy week, like a really crazy week, and I can't help but feel proud about the week that's just gone. And I wanted to share a little bit with you all, just because I know it's hard out there. I know it's tough. I know people are struggling, and I think right now a lot of empathy is needed for those people that have been stood down and are struggling. But I just guess I wanted to be a little bit of a positive light, I guess, call it whatever you want. And I know sometimes it's when you're positive all the time, people get the shits with it. But hey John, thanks for joining. I just wanted to just to share some of the positive stuff that we've been going through, with Lily and Maddie and Colin and Mylene and the team. So as people know, the whole Meet Magic, that's the link there, the whole meetmagic.org story is quite an interesting one. I was sort of thrust into this because my purpose met my passion. And for the past 3 years, it's been a massive journey. And I was talking to somebody yesterday about this, about the fact that it is a roller coaster. And unless you're prepared to take the ups and downs, you really shouldn't get on that roller coaster. And that's exactly almost what the 3 years has been like. But yesterday, I spoke with my accountants, and we got the past 3 years of the books put together, all the P&Ls and everything. And I just sat back and I thought, wow, this has really been it's really been a crazy ride, and we're just about getting started. That's what it feels like. We're not even on the road yet. I feel like we haven't even started a business yet. But some of the things that I wanted to cover on this little live is just to show you that through dark times, through tough times, you really can, if you keep going, get to where you want to go. And when the results came back yesterday, I sort of sat back and I looked at the years 2017 to 2018 revenues, and they were tiny. Honestly, there weren't a lot. I think we made about $1,000 profit or something stupid in the end. But the point being was, I came up with an idea, the meetmagic.org idea, and that's all it was at the time. But when I translate that back to how I was feeling at that time, you come up with an idea, you create basically a side hustle. And when you've got a side hustle, your first job is to go and sell something. As a founder, you can't expect somebody else to do this. You as a founder have to get off your ass and go and sell something, because that's the only way you're going to be able to prove that what you're created is actually going to work. So I did that, and I decided to carry on. And so 2017 to 2018 was a massive struggle. I struggled like hell, and I had a full-time job because it was my side hustle. I forget who the full-time. Well, I don't forget who the full-time job was with, but I'm not going to say who it was, because not even on my LinkedIn I took it off. But because I think what happens when you've got your side hustle and that's your passion and that's your purpose, you end up focusing more on that rather than on your job. So me as a sales guy, I actually couldn't do my job. Hey Lauren, nice to see you. I actually couldn't do my job, so I ended up getting fired. Well, not fired. Did I get fired? No, I didn't. They said we're discontinuing the role. I think that was the strategy that they decided to do. But anyway, so 2017 to 2018, small revenues, but we come up with an idea. Struggled like hell, had a full-time job. 2018 to 2019, well, I lost that job because, like I said, the focus was on the side hustle. But there was something at that particular time that said, okay, now is your time. You've got to go and get on with this and put everything into it. Now, this is the interesting thing, because the revenues from 2018 to 2019, hey D, Diana, Dirty Diana, Dancing Diana, hi. From 2018 to 2019, we had 7,346% growth. It sounds a lot. And, you know, when you look at it relative terms, from a revenue perspective, yeah, it was six figures, but it's certainly not massive numbers. Profit was, you know, almost six figures. But, you know, that 2018 to 2019 piece where I'd lost my job and my side hustle has now become my full-time source of income. Well, I've got to hustle like hell now. And this was really where, when I look at that, when I looked at these numbers yesterday, I saw that 7,300% growth number. And you look at this and you go, wow, amazing. No, this was the darkest time, the darkest year I ever went through as a startup person. This is my third startup, not my first, not my second, it's my third. Lost a few $100,000 on the first two. And this one now, the universe has just thrown me into this. Get on with it. Don't mess around. And this is a warts and all story I'm telling you here. I struggled to keep my head above water. I've got a girl in school. I've got bills to pay. My outgoings are way more than my incomings. I can let you know now. I told somebody this yesterday. My electricity got cut off because it was that much of a struggle. I thought that can wait. And luckily, I live in an old building. I was able to go downstairs and flick the switch back on. But and then find a way to pay them and call them and get it back on. But my electricity got cut off. My phone was constantly cut off, and I had to find ways to restart that. I was begging and borrowing and stealing from people to keep this thing going. This all the while, we've got seven figures coming in. Bear that in mind. So 7,000% odd growth rate, all this stuff. And I'm struggling to keep my head above water. I almost drowned, literally almost drowned. And this feeling is crazy because you know it's something that you want to do. You know it's your purpose of why you're doing this. You're creating a product that is valuable to people. They're actually liking what we've delivered. We've delivered this meetmagic.org platform where people can go on and book a meeting with executives, and that's going to make some money for charity. And so then I got to 2019, to the present moment. So that 2018 to 2019 model was literally a huge struggle. Hey Ben, was literally a huge struggle, and you know, some of my closest friends, they know that, you know, I would wipe myself out with a couple of bottles of wine, and literally because the pressure was huge. You wake up the next morning, you'd have so much anxiety, you just want to turn the lights out. This was dark. I mean, really dark. My friend Ian knows this. I would call him and say, mate, I can't do this anymore. This was literally the story of Meet Magic. And I feel like I want to cry now. Anyway, so fast forward to now, to 2019, and I looked at the numbers, and we're still in six figures, but it's moving to like really high. And we've got, from that 7,000% growth rate last year, we are almost 60% year on year up on the same period as last year, with a quarter to go. Now, obviously you can't do that by yourself, and you've got to invest in everything. You've got to invest in people, you've got to invest in processes, you've got to invest in automation. But I wanted to just take a moment to say, you know, without investment, without backing yourself and spending money on certain things, you're actually not going to grow. And I look at now, we're starting to get this product to market fit occurring, where we've now got an opportunity to turn this not from six figures, but to seven figures. And I've just been sat down looking at this, and I know when founders start a business, they've often got this idea in their head that they can create a product and throw it out there, and people will, you know, it'll either take off or it won't. You know, you built something, you make it available, and if you've made a better mousetrap, people are going to knock on your door, or they don't, in which case the market must not exist. But actually, startups only take off because the founders make them take off. You know, there may be a handful of ones that just grew by themselves, but usually it takes some sort of monumental effort to push them, to get them going. A bit of a metaphor might be, remember the old cars where you'd wind them up and get the engine going? Well, before we got electric starters, well, now that once that engine was going, it would keep going. But anyway, there's a whole process behind that. But I think, you know, but you start looking at companies like, whether it's Stripe or or even Airbnb, you know, they all took a really long time to get them going. But I think the other reason founders, I think, don't keep going is because they give up on the absolute numbers, because those numbers seem really small at first. And I'm talking about my numbers in those first year. They seem really, really small. And, you know, you often say to yourself, this can't be how it is. It's, you know, the famous startups didn't start like this, but they did. They all did. And I think the mistake people make when they're starting a business is we tend to underestimate the power of that whole compound growth rate. You know, I think what I'm doing at the moment is trying to measure our progress by a weekly growth rate. I mean, for example, if you've got 100 users, you need to get 10 more next week. Well, you go by 10%. And maybe 110 users might not seem a lot, but it's not that much better than 100. But if you keep growing at 10% each week, you'll be surprised at the numbers that you get after a year or two. So, I mean, I sat down this morning. It's lockdown. It's a beautiful day outside here in Sydney, by the way, and it's just disgustingly beautiful. And here I am in my house being a good boy. Anyway, so anyway, I looked at these numbers, and Maddie, who's our EA, she had a cracking week this week, and I mean a really cracking week. She booked, literally locked in 25 meetings. We've got hundreds to do, but she's actually physically put them in the diaries for the salespeople and the executives. 25 of them. Now, my original goal was to get 1,000 executives signed up, pledging time by the end of June, and to be able to do 100 meetings every month. Now, if we've just done 25 meetings this week, then we're absolutely on track to do that 100 meetings, in a month. And that's just by going on a 10% growth rate if we did 10% each week. So we did 28 next week, we did 31 the week after, 34 the week after that, right up to the end of June. We would literally be, those figures would be off the charts in terms of what we're doing. And that's just having a nominal 10% growth rate each week. So I guess the moral or the story I'm trying to get across here is, when you start something, you've really got to not think about getting $1 million in revenue straight away, because it takes time. The Airbnb guys didn't sell anything until their first 3 years. I says, please follow my words for successful life and happy life and healthy life. Yeah, thanks, Sankara. Nice one. Cheers. Anyway, the 10% thing, the compound thing is great. And I know startups are fragile. Airbnb is unstoppable juggernaut now, but in the early days, it was fragile. And I think it's the same with most of them. And I think one of the things that I want to try and start doing now is looking at our existing customers, because we've got some big brand names that have come on board with us. The timing, I hate to say it, is a perfect storm for us. The whole coronavirus thing has obviously shut down conferences. It shut down the event space. It shut down networking. It shut down all of that. So we're now having people knocking on our door saying, "Hey, can you get us in front of these people? We want some meetings." And Lily and Colin, our exec team, who are onboarding execs, and this for me is really exciting, because Lily's only been here. What's Lily been? A couple of months, not even a couple of months yet, but she has literally doubled the amount of executives that we've got on board at the moment. So we've gone from 92 execs to, I think, 192 now. And so this week coming, the week of, April the 18th? It's my dad's birthday tomorrow. Far out. This week, the week of the 25th, we will crack the 200 executives mark, which is monumental, because it means we've now got an extra few months. We've got 3 months to get to 1,000 executives to be able to do those 100 meetings that I want to do every single month. That's our target. That's our focus right now. And I know once we get to that stage, that's going to be an indication that we're ready to go offshore now. We're ready to go to New York, do the same thing. We're ready to go to London and do the same thing. We're ready to go to Tokyo and do the same thing, where we can, wherever there's a B2B selling mentality, wherever there's a vendor that wants to go and meet with an exec, that's where our market's going to be. And, we want to have the best people around us, the best advice around us, the best guidance around us, because I know there's a lot of coaches out there at the moment, and we've gone through this struggle, as you know, with the past 3 years. It's been a journey, and I guess one of the questions that I keep asking myself is how big could this company be if we did the right things? And it's getting to try and understand what those right things are. And it's the same as anything else that you're doing in your business. But how do you focus on the right thing? So I don't know, take for example when Bill Gates quit, because he did, and he went back to Harvard, and then he didn't stay in Harvard for long. He probably wouldn't have gone at all if he'd have realized how big the opportunity he was sitting on had. But he did go back to Harvard, and he did come back out of it and had a whole lot of coding in a bedroom. Or that was his path, his shortest path. That was his optimal path of what he did. And I look at what I don't know, call it Airbnb. I keep coming back to Airbnb because it's a cracking story of people that just never gave up. They sold cereal to keep themselves afloat because they never had any money. They created some cereal, and they made some Obama boxes and put the cereal in the Obama boxes and sold them for $20 each, and that's how they kept themselves going. And we didn't do that, but that story and what they actually did in the very beginning of their journey was they went out and they knocked on people's doors, and they physically took photographs of the places that they were going to put on the website. So this is the story of Airbnb. They couldn't do it today because they're too big. But in the beginning, the founders, me, them, they had to get up and go and sell. They had to get up and knock on people's doors and go and tell these people, we want to put your thing up online. Can we take a picture? And they did that. And that was the school of hard knocks, I guess, that they had to go through to get their thing done. So I keep saying to myself right now, given the optimal things to do, what are they? What as a founder, what steps should I be taking as a founder? That's, I don't know where you get the guidance from. There's a lot of people out there in the market that have started businesses and that have grown businesses, and the businesses have failed, me included. I've started. It's my third. I've started the first two just imploded, lost a lot of money. So I've learned from that. And this third one is hopefully going to be, the one that, gets somewhere. But what do you do? Do you surround yourself with some guidance from people that have done it, that know how to do it, or do you surround yourself with people that think they know how to do it? It's a very different conversation. And for me right now, I'd love to get some phone calls from people telling me, it's a bit like, how can I explain this? So I'm really not into financial advisors giving me advice if they haven't made it themselves. That's a bit like me trying to get startup advice from someone that hasn't got a successful startup, because I want to ask a very simple question to these people. Tell me exactly what you did to make your first $1 million and what steps you took to get there. That's what I'd ask the financial advisor. So it's the same sort of thing that I'm looking for from a guidance perspective, is tell me what steps you took and how you got to where your startup's now worth $1 billion. So whether it's Lucy Liu from Airwallex or Melanie from Canva, whatever, Nick from Afterpay, they've all started somewhere, and we all know some of their journeys have been documented. But what are the steps? What is that formula? And I don't know what it is. I really don't. And it's how you find them. But that for me is the journey so far. It's been a really good one. I know what the meetings are doing for people is great. They're insanely good meetings. If you've not had one of our Meet Magic meetings, we get feedback on them all the time. I know, over the last week, there's 25 that have been locked in are going to be really good. We've got ratings, NPS scores that are really high. The execs love the meetings because they feel good about them. So the focus obviously is B2B. So if you're a vendor and you've got marketing budget, I think right now, just like I'm doing this live on a Saturday, where instead of being out in there in the sunshine, I'm actually sat at home doing a LinkedIn live, putting the brand back out there, because right now, not tomorrow, right now is the time to double down on what you're doing, because when things turn the corner, and I don't want to say going back to normal, because normal was shit. I don't want to say going back to normal, because normal means more homeless on the street. You want to go back to that? No. So I think for me, I'd love to see a lot of things change. But yeah, if you're a vendor and you're struggling right now, like a lot of them are with your forecast, because your meetings have stopped and you can't get access to people, and a lot of salespeople are telling us that they're scared of picking up the phone because the C-suite that they would normally call might have their baby in their hand, and might be at home in the middle of something, so they feel a little bit anxious about making that phone call. So if you're worried about that, then there is a solution, and that's what we've done. We've created that. So this perfect storm that I'm talking about is that it's the ability to have a marketplace, and we do have a marketplace, which is two sides. One side is our customers, and I must shout out a few of them, because they're big top right-hand quadrant companies, like Netscope, like Dell EMC, like SecureWorks, like CrowdStrike, big guys who have a B2B product that can really add value to a lot of the companies out there that need the help at the moment. So our meetings are not selling meetings; they're meetings for you to go and share your best practices of what you're doing. So if you're struggling, just log on to the meetmagic.org website, or go and have a look at this meetingforgood.org website, because this is the partnership that we've set up with the Starlight Children Foundation. We're growing, we're scaling, we're looking now. I know right now I can see my rent being paid, and my bills being paid, and my electricity still being on, which is really, really nice. And that for me is that's all I need. If I've got that freedom in my mind, to know that my bills are paid, my daughter's okay, that certainty. Anthony Robbins talks all about that certainty. If I've got that, that's all I need. I'm okay. I don't need a nice car. I've got a beat up 15-year-old BMW 5 Series. Totally okay with that. I'm not proud about that. I wear nice, cheap Zara clothes. Totally okay. Don't need Louis Vuitton. But as long as we're covering the bills and we're growing and we're investing our money into staff and people and growth and systems, and we've got some guidance around us, then I think what we've got here is a brand new way for charities to get money very, very easily by turning business meetings into funds. And that's the B2B product that we've created. It's getting some product to market fit, and that's evident obviously in the numbers, which I'm really, really proud of. And when Maddie gave me the numbers this week, for the numbers of meetings that she's locked in, I just said, wow. It was just a turning point, really, because to get to be able to be on track for 100 meetings a month, my dream by the end of June is to have 1,000 execs on board doing 100 meetings a month, and that would generate about $70,000 a month for Starlight, which would put hundreds and hundreds of kids into the Starlight Children's Foundation's room, into the captain's room. So that, for me, is the dream and the goal. And it's not about acquiring cars and houses and stuff. It's about making a difference. And I think what keeps me going as a human is the contribution that creates, and the legacy and the impact that creates. And it's not just a selfish reason. You just feel as though it's doing good, and that's okay to make money by doing good. And Peter Baines always spoke about that. But anyway, if anyone's got any questions, or if anybody wants to chat, I'm completely open to it. I make myself available for anyone that wants to. If you're going through shit and you've gone through, if you want to become that lion in the jungle, you really have to. A lot of people have, and this is the analogy I'm going to use, and it will grate some people, but that's okay. You can just disconnect from my LinkedIn. I don't really care. If you're not my type of people, if you're offended by what I'm saying. But a lot of people have been really complacent with their nice salaries and their nice jobs, and all of a sudden it's gone, and they don't know what to do because they haven't developed a mindset, basically, of how to survive. And that is the analogy is it's like being, a lion in the zoo. You go to the zookeeper when you're hungry. You go inside when it's raining, and you get fed breakfast in the morning by the zookeeper, and it makes you complacent. It's what It's what having your corporate 9-to-5 cog does. And I'm trying not to create that with our guys. I want them to all feel safe and secure. But you know, I know you've got to have a job, but I think you have to develop a mindset of, you know, of having an anticipation playbook of an understanding, what if something does go wrong, how would I react? And to go through what I've gone through with the whole journey with Meat Magic is almost like I've developed myself a playbook now, because it's lying in the jungle shit. It literally is. I know if I'm in the jungle, I'm going to eat. Put it that way. I'm not going to lay down and not be able to eat because I don't know how to hunt. And that's the mentality. I think that I've been taught that by a coach of mine called Niyi, who's an American 49 linebacker, American football player, but he turned coach. But he develops this mindset of the lion in the jungle mindset. But not everyone's got it. Not everyone can have it. But that's what you need right now. And so if you're struggling and you need some guidance or some tips, I'm not going to charge you for my advice. But I'm more than happy to take a call. Anyway, 26 minutes. I think I'm done. Log on to the meatmagic.org website if you're a vendor, or if you know any vendors that are struggling and need some meetings. It's free to join. We are developing some really kind of cool stuff, which is going to be released, I think, in a week or so, which is basically going to be predicting a lot of things in your sales, in your market, basically. So we'll be able to have some triggers that are, how do we say, going to be able to help you close deals a lot easier. So not only are we going to be putting you in front of decision makers, but you'll have insights into their business that will really, really be quite powerful. Anyway, thanks for listening, and chat when you're older. Have a good one.